Sambugelu mujar rek na ko jenda Fuma muna dem rek yobale la Duma muna def dara bale umala Bilai walai man yaula buga
So I will see more of gaps in the Ghana to go along on education and as you see for areas there, and you see as you see inside the garden, you see moringa, you see all this cassava, all these potato leaves. That's what we are employing for the health and for the nutrition of the community, which is working very well. And as you will hear from them, the beneficiary themselves, with this intervention, what benefit has brought to this community in terms of nutrition and food security itself. So, as we go along, you see we have crop production and poultry production, aiming to have more organized. That's coming next 2 months. For now, animal production and poultry is part of garden. One is to be able to produce more organic manure for us to do away with this inorganic fertilizers. And you might not see a lot of crop because
Sambugelu mujar rek na ko jenda Fuma muna dem rek yobale la Duma muna def dara bale umala Bilai walai man yaula buga Baby galo baby Man bulma min be Fatima Baby galo baby.
To begin with, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to first of all recognize the presence of Mr. Fofana from Nana, Modunjai representing the Honorable Minister of Health, Darrell Saxton, EU representative, representative from NARI, being ably represented by the Director General, Mr. Gansumana Jaju, FAO team, my able permanent secretary, the Honorable FAO Rep, Madam Katepa Kalala, my Honorable Minister of Agriculture, and His Majesty King Letsie III of Lesotho. Welcome. On behalf of the Regional Directorate of Agriculture, I want to welcome our able distinguished guests here. And by virtue of our tradition, I want to begin by giving the Alkali a minute to give a welcoming remark.
Assalamu alaikum. Gan ñepp di leen wax bismillah fii ci Njóobeen di wax ne alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin am nañ lu yombut loo xam ne nii Afrique yëpp bëgg nañ ko mënuñ ko am mooy gan gu mel nii di king of LGNJ di ko xamal ne ndaw yi nga xam ne nii ebal na leen fii ci Njóobeen ñiy liggéey ak ki nga xam ne nii moo leen jiite di Mrs Kalala mii nga xam ne dëkk bi yëpp xam nañ ko def nañ seen liggéey Mrs Kalala indi na fi ñoo xam ne nii foog ma wax leen def nañ seen liggéey muy ñaari ndaw góor ak jigéen ñëpp xam nañ leen boo gisee ñeneen Njóobeen ñooñu ñoo ko di bolok kon ñu ngi leen di sant ci loolu. maa ngi sant président bi di sant nguuram di sant agriculture di sant ñi nga xam ne nii ñoo amee wàllu wér-gu-yaram gi di doole sant EU ak FAO ak Department of waaw déedéet naana waaw dëgg naana ñooñu tampal déebu weex bii nii déebu weex bii nga xam ne suñu jigéen ñi ñëpp ñi ngi war a dem di daal dem ñoo fi sori ñooñu ko sampal foog ñu wax da ngeen ñi may lu tuuti waaye foog ñu wax ñu ngi leen a ñaan daje yombut te kilifa gu mel nii bu ñëwee wax ko ñi nga xam ne nii ñu ngi laa jëriñ mu xam ko foog ñu wax ko naanaa ñu ngi leen gërëm bu baax ñu ngi gërëm compagnie bi remplace Piwam compagnie bi ko remplace naka la tuddee neema ñooñu sampal yoon wi ci nguuri Gambia ci nguuri Adama Barrow kon ñu ngi leen di sant di leen gërëm ci lu bëri di wax ne seen tànk dem ak ñëw yàlla na nekk yokkute yàlla musal leen def leen ngeen di ay kilifa yu baax a baax a baax a baax ñu ngi doole nuyu nag suñ kilifa bu mag gi di king of LGNJ L mooy Lesotho.
Oh, Lesotho.
G mooy Gambia. N J mooy Njoobeen. sant yàlla ba mu bëri yal na yàlla yokk jàmm ji yàlla yokk jàmm ci kanam ñu ñëw fii yëpp GRTS maa ngi leen di sant lu bëri ndax Gambie fu mu dem GRTS ñoo ko publicité ñoo ko publicité kontaan naa ci ñoom lu bëri jërëjëf.
Thank you very much.
Your Majesty, honorable ministers here present, representative of the EU, senior government officials here present, all protocols duly observed. Thank you very much for welcoming us to Njoben once again. Thank you very much. I won't say much, Your Majesty, because the time is very short. Just to welcome you to this garden. This, as was mentioned, was part of an MDG1C project that ran, it ended a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now. It was funded by the European Union with the objective of helping the Gambia to accelerate its attainment of the MDG goals on food security and nutrition. There were several interventions, some with WFP had a school feeding program, we had support for enhancing productivity of cereals, rice, it was run countrywide. And so the garden component was just one of the components of a larger project. The project supported 8 such gardens, and the idea of the gardens was to bring them up to a stage where they could become independent. There had been a number of interventions by different partners up to this point, but it was never sustainable. The size was too small, the support that had been given was such that, you had the fencing fell apart. The revenue that was generated just from crops was never enough for them to be able to maintain the equipment that was installed. So the idea of this project was really to bring the garden, the whole system, both the crops and the livestock, to a place where, from a revenue perspective, from a financial perspective, it was going to be sustainable, and I think we've done that. This is one of the better gardens. They do a really, really tremendous job. They have an account that they are running, and the account is healthy from what I'm told. The women, it's primarily women members. In this group, I think there are a few men, but it's primarily run by women. Gardening, Your Majesty, is something that is primarily done by women in this country and really forms an important addition to nutrition, the family's nutrition as well as the family's income. So we're very pleased that this project has worked out the way that it has, and the women are maintaining it and sustaining it. You'll be able to see a little more of the garden in a little while. So thank you very much for coming to visit this garden, and thank you to the community in Joburg for the tremendous work that you're doing, and I encourage you to continue with the same. FAO will always be there to support you when needed. Thank you.
This was partly triggered by the Global Conference on Hunger, which took place at the early part of the decade. EU development policy on nutrition was subsequently formulated, and in particular the EU pledged to make a contribution to the reduction of stunting worldwide, including in the Gambia. Around about that time, the European Union also pledged a large amount of money towards development projects in African and Caribbean countries, African, Caribbean and Pacific countries. We established also the Food Fortification Advisory Service, which was complementary to the advisory services we already had in place, called the Nutrition Advisory Service, NAS, and the Advisory Service in Social Transfers. So 2013 then marks the start of the programming in the Gambia, and as we've heard from my colleagues here, we had a big project in the Gambia called the MDG 1C, which was targeting a reduction of food insecurity and the elimination of hunger. That project very successfully worked in a number of gardens in the country, including in this one, and as has been testified, was important in establishing the basic infrastructure here, the water reticulation system, the fencing, the general design of the larger garden that was established under the MDG 1C. We then had a number of projects programmed which started implementation in 2016, most notable of which is the UNICEF Breast Project, Building Resilience Through Social Transfers. This was an EU gestated idea to provide a monthly cash transfer to women with children under the age of 2, and that's been implemented since 2016, very successfully, with a caseload of around about 6,000 mothers. We had, also in 2016, we awarded the FAO a food fortification project, along with the NGO United Purpose. The FAO project has been very successful at establishing a national alliance on food fortification in the early part of 2017, and also reviewing the food fortification regulation in the country. The current proposals, if I'm correct, are to rescind the 2006 Biofortification Act and replace it with a much more flexible and modern approach, which would involve the National Nutrition Agency looking at policy formulation, the Standards Bureau providing the international standards for food fortification here in the country, and the FSQ, the Food Safety Quality Organisation, actually enforcing the quality. That would also be accompanied with a labelling, some sort of labelling for fortified foods. So some great successes there already achieved by FAO along with the National Nutrition Agency and the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Agriculture. The FAO project on food fortification has also looked at biofortification, and you can see in this garden some of the examples of produce that they're encouraging to be grown. We also had then in 2017 another nutrition project, which is I believe also part of the visit today, which is the Post-Crisis Response Project to Food and Nutrition Insecurity. This is an innovative project being implemented by the FAO in partnership with the WFP and UNICEF. It provides not only supplementary feeding to a large caseload of around 40,000 children under the age of 2, but also provides assistance to farmers through farmer field school initiatives, and also encourages better hygiene practices through better application of water and sanitation, which is partly implemented by UNICEF. Also in 2017 we have a project which has just started in agriculture,
This project also has a nutrition component because we are attentive to the needs of the nutrition in the Gambia. That's known as the Agriculture for Economic Growth and Food Security Nutrition project to mitigate migration flows. So in terms of numbers, well, where have the EU met their pledge, their early pledge in the early part of the decade as far as the Gambia is concerned? Well, if we look at the overall numbers, we can see that around about 40 million euros of EU aid has been programmed for the Gambia in the agriculture, food security, nutrition complex. But of that 40 million, around about 20 million has gone purely to nutrition. So if we look at that as a per capita, it's a figure of around about €10 per Gambian population, which is actually pretty good from one donor. There is a second donor in the country, it's the World Bank, and we believe that together, with working with our partners, we've actually made some inroads into addressing some of the shortfalls in nutrition which are affecting stunting and also wasting. So we wait now to see whether the statistics actually prove us right, but there has been a significant investment of the EU in nutrition. With this, we continue to be committed towards the sector, and we are very, very privileged by the visit of King Letsie. It's the second visit by a high-level person to the Gambia this year, so somehow we must be up on the radar screen. Gerda Verberg, who was the Sun National Coordinator, also came just three or 4 months ago and visited the breast project. So here we are today. We're very pleased to see you, sir, and we wish you a successful visit, and we hope that we can share with you some of our successes. Thank you.
Everybody. bëgg la ñuy waxal nag suñu lii ñu amee ñebe bi ñu dalal leen ci wax leen ci lu seen xalaat ak lu seen liñ ci am ak lu seen njëriñ.
He wants to speak about this food item that is on his side, that is the cowpea. What is their benefit in it and what it does for them.
The first wér gi yaram lañuy jox bu baax xamal leen ko suñu bopp.
They realize that it gives them health.
suñ amul njëgi yàppatal suñ ko lekkee dana ko remplacer.
If they don't have the income to buy meat also, they can be consuming cowpea to supplement for the meat.
Mun nañ koy def ci ceeb, mun nañ koy def ruy, mun nañ koy def mbaxal.
They can make it into rice, which is ceeb, and they can also make it into puri, and also another common Gambian dish called mbaxal.
Te dana jigéen ñi nga xam ne amuñ jigéen yu wérul yi jigéen bu ëmb dana leen dimbale torop.
It does help the pregnant women a lot.
Okay. Ba pare suñ suuf bi itam dana ko gën a risaaf.
And also it serves as nutrition conservation for the soil.
Okay. Then suñ gàtt gi suñ paree itam dañ ko góob jox leen ko ñu dund ci.
It also serves as animal feed.
Danañu dimbale bu baax a baax loolu liñ ci xalaat daal ifin den ak patate bi di same.
And even the sweet potato also, it has the same benefit as the cowpea.
Dafa am benn garab bi ñu jox jigéen yu wér yi.
We are seeing that women who are pregnant are being supplemented with vitamin A in the hospital.
Sometimes ñu jox leen ko duñ ko dee nangoo naan ñu ne neexul.
Some of the women will not like to drink it because they don't like drinking medicine.
Waaye suñ ko amul la léegi suñ lekkee patate bi danañu ko remplacer.
Why now if they don't get those tablets, they can be consuming the orange flesh sweet potato to supplement for the vitamin A pills.
ñu ci am 8 branches yoo xam ne benn bokk ci ak sa morom.
And right now they are having 8 varieties in this garden.
Dafa ñu dimbale trop mooy dem yombal na dund bi bu baax a baax a baax.
It helped them a lot, and this make life very easy for them. Okay. Thanks everybody. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, man Yamasur Njube. Ma ñew di wax ci walu garden.
She will be talking about the garden.
Garden bi jëriñ nañu jëriñ lo xamne ñi mënuñu xam fan lañu jëm.
They cannot estimate the benefits that they got from this particular garden.
Ñun bala ñi am garden bi ñu ngi amon ciono bo xamne ni xamuñ won fuñ wara nekk ba mëna genn ci ciono bo.
Before they had sponsors in this garden, they don't know anywhere to get a source of funding to try and build up this garden.
parce que wér yaram amu doon fi.
There was no health in the village.
wér yaram léegi bi ñu commencé garden bi ak léegi lañ xam garden lan laay jëriñ ci kaw doomu Adama Njaay.
When they started the garden, now they know the benefits of gardening in the health of human beings.
time bu ñu amoon garden xale yi danañ am PC jigéeni wéru yi seen wér yaram melu doon noonu seen dañuy yomb manqué deret.
When they didn't have the garden, pregnant women were always having lack of blood, and most of their children were having low birth weight.
te ñun dañ foogoon ne lekk bu suur rek mooy wàllu lekk bu baax ndekete lekk ba suur nekkul wàllu lekk bu baax.
They thought that you eat until your stomach is filled up. That was just good for feeding, but whilst that was not actually the feeding content.
kon lekk bu baax mu ngi demee ni ki ñami garden yi nga xam ne moom lañ di bay ci suñ garden yi Ndiobène Fuladu bii ñuy nekk tay.
They know that now having food is not only enough, but the nutrition part of the food is when you are working in the garden.
depuis ñu commencé lekk garden bi fii ne xamul benn xale boo xam ne mu ngi peese sa peese wàcc wala benn digri virus boo xam ne mu ngi taxaw ci fii nii ne ñu ne da nga manqué dara wala da nga am wédi.
Since they started production in this garden and they are consuming it, they haven't been to the hospital. A pregnant woman is having low blood, and then while the child will be birthed with a low birth weight, they haven't experienced that.
surtout suñu xob yi nga xam ne nii moo nekk ci suñ garden bi mooy xobi nebedaay yi ak xobi pataas yi nga xam ne moo nekk ci garden bi ñu di ko togg di ko lekk boo ko lekkee comme mu ngi mel ni yow am nga ñaari kilo yàpp nga lekk.
What they've realized from the African leafy vegetables most especially, if you consume the leafy vegetables, it just seems like you are consuming 2 kilos of meat every day.
kon ñun xobi garden yi ñun xamuñu woon lan lay jëriñ ndekete xobi garden yi lii lay jëriñ ci doomu Adama Njaay.
They never known the benefits, the health nutrition benefits of the leafy vegetables, but now they realize what is the benefits of the leafy vegetables.
ñun waa Ndiobène ñun amuñ lan lu ñuy wax su ma yee sant yàlla bu mu bëri.
For them from Ndiobène, they don't have anything to say, but they at least to thank God and praise God.
surtout FAO nga xam ne moo ñu indil garden bi nga xam ne nii ne mu ngi Ndiobène ñëpp di ko teg ba ci rajo Gambie ci Sénégal si ñëpp fu ñu mën a dem daal ñun suñu tur dem na ci kaw.
They will thank FAO very well because FAO give them this opportunity to have such a garden so that each and everyone knows about this garden from Gambia to Senegal and now to Lesotho. All of them know about this garden.
ñun foog naa ne lekk yi nga xam ne moom lañ daan taamul diggante ay Kombokki ay Dakar yooyu yëpp boo ñëwee Ndiobène tey da nga ko lekk ba suuf.
The foods that they know in the urban centers like in Banjul, Dakar, you go. If you come to Ndiobène now, you can have those type of foods.
kon ñun Ndiobène war nañoo góorgóorlu ba mu baax ñun surtout ñun jigéen ñi nga xam ne ñun ñoo nekk ci wàllu njaboot ga war nañoo góorgóorlu ba mu baax.
See, urge the women of Ndiobène, especially those whom you know that they are having kids, to be working hard and keep on working hard.
ndax ñun garden bi jëlee nañu foo xam ne nii ñun xamuñ fu mu ñu jëlee xale yi nga xam ne ñu ngi dem school amuñ woon lan lañ leen di jox loon ci amuñ fan lañ leen di fayee waaye léegi ñi ngay yëkkati si xaalis di ko fayee jigéen ñi fii ci garden bi di ko fayee school di ko jëlee fii ci garden bi di ko jox ko nit ñi dem loon.
Before the intervention of the garden, sometimes it was hard to pay for school fees for their children, talk less of giving them food money when they are going to school. But now that is an easy thing for them to do.
danga daan toog ba mu yàgg rek sa xale jàng ba bara nar a génn rek yaay damaa génn de nga ne ko génnal léegi bàyyi nañ ñun amatuñ xaalis bu ñu la dépassé pour ngay dem di jàng.
They sit for a while when the child is about to graduate, and now there is a high fee to pay. If they ask, they will say no, now you can be a dropout and come out of school. But now that's no more the case. They have something to pay for their children to go to school.
waaye léegi xaalis bi nga xam ne moom la garden bi liggéey su fekkee sama xale bi jàng na mu ngi war a génn su ma amoo xaalis si sama bopp sax ma dem si garden bi tebal leen ma xaalis ma sama xale bi dafay dem jàng.
They have a fund in the garden which, you know, if you don't personally have the money, you can come and credit from the garden, and then later if you work, you pay to that particular corporation.
dañu garden bi balaa ñuy jël jot bu amuñu woon naka la ñuy liggéeyee garden waaye FAO indil nañu ñaari xale yoo xam ne fii ñu jàngal nañu nan la ñuy liggéeyee garden ba garden bi ñu mën cee am.
When they have the garden first, they don't know how to do the work in the garden. But FAO brought 2 personnels here who trained them to be working in the garden.
time boobu buñu daan xapp ndox diñ ji comme lii booy wànga ndox du ma sonnaandi waaye léegi dañ di taabal suñu garden suñu biir yi soo ko defee ndox tuuti rek mu tooy da nga am ñaari fan du la neexee doo ñëw garden nga tooy.
They showed them how to conserve water in general, because previously they would just come and pour water on the crops. But now they show them how to conserve the water. They can water for 2 days without water, and the plants will not have stress.
kon loolu mooy suñu liggéey ñun suñu garden bi ñu nga toog di liggéey di bàyyi nañ engrais defatuñ engrais ci suñu garden bi léegi li ñuy liggéey mooy compost ci suñu garden bi compost bi ku ñu ko jàngal mooy wàllu FAO.
FAO also showed them how to prepare compost. They are no longer using chemical fertilizers in their garden. They are only using organic fertilizer in the garden, and this was taught to them by FAO.
jàngal nañ ñu itam ndax seen gàncax gi bu amee feebar nan ngeen ko di fajee ñun de suñu garden bi bu amee feebar ci suñu garab yi maam yi ci la ñuy jël di ko fajee suñu gàncax.
They also showed them how to prepare botanicals to prevent diseases.
ndax poson boo ko jëlee def ko ci gàncax gi poson dafa war a am time boo xam ne nii da nga koy war a mu mën a jeex ci gàncax bi nga mën koy lekk te ñun indi time ñu ngi ci garden bi di génne li ñuy lekk kon suñu jëlee poson bu ñuy def ko ci suñu garden bi di ko reyee sax mun naa am garden boobu da nga ci am soxla pour dindi ko nga lekk ko fekk poson bi time bi jeexagul nga dindi ko nga lekk ko nga am feebar moo tax ñu jël garab yi maam di ko def ci suñu
They are also taught about the botanicals, because previously they used chemical fertilizers, and this, if you apply, you have to wait for a time to do the harvest, and they are always harvesting from the garden. So now they are being prevented from using the chemical fertilizer. Instead, they use the natural botanicals to do the spraying, and so that they can be harvesting all time around.
kon ñun duñ def lu jërëjëfal FAO ak EU ko nga xam ne ñoom ñoo ñu dépassé ñu ngi leen di jërëjëfal.
They thank FAO so much and EU so much. Thank
you. Your Majesty the King, we would be pleased if you can make a short statement. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Honorable Minister, and Honorable Ministers here present, FAO Country Director, EU representative, all the excellencies and government officials here present, but most importantly, I would like to convey my greetings to all the farmers here present and the members of this cooperative who I'm visiting here today. I would like to start off by just expressing my gratitude and the gratitude of my delegation for the warm welcome that we have received in this community. And we are most grateful that the FAO has organized this visit to Njoben and the garden so that we can see for ourselves some of the good work that the FAO is doing. The FAO, in partnership with the EU and other international organizations, the good work that they are doing in this effort to combat malnutrition and stunting and all other forms of malnutrition. I must say, although I'm still going to do a controlled and a brief tour, but from what I've heard, particularly from what I've heard from the two beneficiaries, I'm very impressed with this enterprise, with this project. I particularly impressed because with this garden, the community seems to have tackled two problems, if not more. The problem of malnutrition and the problem of lack of household income. We have heard from the beneficiaries, or particularly one of them, that this garden does not only provide nutritional support for the families, it also supports the families for income so that they have income to do other things that they need for their households. This is a wonderful achievement, and I really do commend and congratulate all and everybody who has been involved in this specific project. What is most impressive is the fact that the project seems to have reached a level of sustainability. We all know, as citizens of this continent, as Africans, that many of the projects that we embark upon in our respective countries fall short on that issue of sustainability, particularly when the donor withdraws. That project often collapses. But I'm confident from what I've heard and from what I've seen that this project has reached a level of sustainability. And I would like to believe that it is because, or it is mainly because of the commitment of the members of this cooperative, of the commitment of the villagers, that we have reached this level of sustainability, that the project is as successful as it is today. So, ladies and gentlemen, you fellow farmers, I would like to congratulate you for the work that you have done, the hard work that you've put in to make sure that this project is a success. It cannot have been a success through the work that is being done in Banjul. It is a success because you, on a daily basis, are getting your hands dirty, you are sweating and working in the heat and the sunshine to make sure that this project is a success, and it's a success for you, your children, and the community at large. So I'm so grateful, and I want to congratulate you, and I'm inspired and encouraged by what I've seen here today. And I'm sure my ministers who are accompanying me are also drawing valuable lessons from what they are seeing, particularly the examples that you've set of commitment and dedication to work. So I'm truly, truly grateful, and I'm so grateful that I've been given this opportunity to visit you. So I want to congratulate you, I want to thank you all, and I want to wish you well. Thank you.
asalaamaaleykum mbokk ñi seetaan ni ngeen ko gisee nag ñu ngi fii nga xamante ne mooy Njóobeen ànd ak king bi ñoo nemmeeku tool yi nga xamante ne jigéen yu mun góor ñu ngi fii di ci béy di ci def lu am solo waaye waa FAO tamit dugal ci seen loxo bu baax a baax dégg ngeen li nga xam ne loolu la king bi wax waaye tamit waa EU luñ ci def ak ñeneen jigéen yi di ci def ay jéego bu baax a baax di wax rek lépp loo xamante ne mu ngi suuxal li nga xamante ne mooy mbéy mi war nañ cee jàpp bu baax a baax war nañoo jàppale jigéen yi ndax jigéen moo yor koom-koomu réew te jigéen yi buñ leen gestoo rek réew mi mën a dem ci kanam ñu ñëwoon fii nag defoon doxantu waaye doxantu bu neex macha allah gis ngeen buñ doon ñëw xale yi nuñ génnee ak nit yi nekk ci village bi nu mu génnee Njóobeen nag mu ngi nekk diggante Brikama Ba ak Somar soo ñëwee ba Brikama Ba nga wàcc noonu nga duggee si biir kon nag topp leen ñu si yeneen
Nina ko bëgge